Hi friends, welcome to DTK Food and Travels. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Today we're going to be making different kinds of dosas. So to make that, first you want to go ahead and get your urad dal soaked. So we're using 1 3/4 cup urad dal or urina with 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds. So you're gonna go ahead and wash this until the water runs clear. And then you wanna cover it with enough water to have it completely soaked. So here we are. We had to wash this about 3 to 4 times to get the water to run clear. So after that, that's when you wanna go ahead and fill it above where the dal is, to make sure it's completely soaked. And we let it soak for about 5 hours, or you can let it soak overnight. And see how the water has little bitty bubbles in it? So when you go ahead and make this into a fine paste, don't get rid of that water. So put like about that much, a ladle full into the blender jar along with the urad dal and the fenugreek seeds. So what this will do is this will help the batter ferment faster. So we just had it fermenting for about 4 to 5 hours and the mix was ready. You don't even have to leave it overnight. That's about the consistency you want. So that's about how thick it'll be when you're done blending it. So it needs to be a really fine paste. We're not gonna add any water just yet. That's just the dal. And then you wanna use some fine rice powder. So for the 1 3/4 cup urad dal, we're gonna use about 4.5 to 5 cups of rice flour. So you're gonna add water according to the package instructions of the rice flour you use. So that's the rice flour. We blended it with the water according to the package instructions, and that's the urad dal and the rice mix batter. We're gonna let it sit and see how long it'll take us to get this fermented, since we used the water from the dal that was soaking. So I checked on it about 4 or 5 hours later, and this is the consistency that it was. So it had risen like within less than 5 hours. First, what we're gonna do is go ahead and make some uttapam. I love uttapam, so I always like to have some extra in the freezer on those days when I don't feel like making breakfast or dinner. So for that, we're gonna need some diced onions and carrots and chili peppers if you'd like, and salt to taste. So the amount of carrots and onions you use will depend on how many uttapams you're planning to make. We grated about 3 carrots and diced 1 medium onion and a couple of chili peppers. You can also use tomatoes and cilantros, but we didn't want to use it. So you want to go ahead and heat up your skillet. We're using a cast iron one. Go ahead and grease it. We're greasing it with some olive oil. You can use any kind of oil. Go ahead and put 1 ladle down, and you would flatten it just like how you would a pancake. So the heat is on medium right now. We're just gonna wait a little bit. Wait for it to get a little crispy in the middle and around the edges. So you just have to keep an eye on it. And once you see the bubbles form around the edges, you want to go ahead and put the uttapam mix, which is made out of, for us, it was carrots, onions, and some chili peppers. You can leave the chili pepper out, or you can add more than what we did. We just added 2. You can add more if you like it spicier. And like I was saying, you can add diced tomatoes and cilantro to this too. We're just gonna wait about a minute or 2, and then we'll flip it. But before we do, we're just gonna put some oil on it just to get it a little crispy. So if you have little kids, you can actually go ahead and use ghee. But since we're not little kids and we don't have any little kids at home, we're just going to use olive oil. So we just put that, and now we're going to go ahead and flip it. There, perfectly done on the other side. And we're just going to wait about a minute or two, and then your uttapam will be ready. So this is something you can do ahead of time and just keep it in the fridge for, like I was saying earlier, on those days when you don't have anything or don't feel like making anything. This is a healthy option than getting something through a drive-through. So just gonna show making another one. So there's the batter. It's about the size of a pancake. And then you want to go ahead and put your topping. And you just wait a few minutes, just till you see the edges crisp up really good. And that's when you want to go ahead and flip it. And I thought about putting the cilantro, and since we were making some extra to put in the freezer, I didn't think the cilantro would freeze really good, so we just decided to leave the tomatoes and the cilantro out. So put the oil on it, and we're gonna flip it. So there it is. We were able to make about 15 uttapams. We had some for dinner that day, then we put the rest in the freezer. So next we're just gonna make some plain dosas. So it's same thing, you get it about the size of the uttapam, also known as tatta dosa. And you just flip it over when you see the bubbles. Takes usually about 1 to 2 minutes on medium heat. Just have to keep an eye on it there. So our regular dosas are ready. And we're gonna show one more. You just have to make sure you grease the skillet or whatever you're using in between to make sure the dosa batter doesn't get stuck. So we're just gonna go ahead and so we're using a measuring cup for this one and a little bit more. We're gonna try to make the dosa a little bit bigger, or the sada dosa. So you just flatten it really thin. I like these dosas than the tatta dosa because this comes out so much crispier because it's made so thin. Especially after you put the ghee or the oil on it, it gets really crispy. This is so yum. I could eat, I'm not gonna say how much, but I could eat a lot of these. So after it gets crispy like that, we're just gonna dab the olive oil on there. Just wait a few seconds and your sada dosa is ready. Doesn't that look yummy? Yeah, I ate that one right there. No, it did not wait too long. That was too yummy. It's best if you, sada dosas are best if you eat it right away. So that was our uttapam for dinner with some coconut chutney and sambar. So I had done a video on sambar before, so I'll put the link in the description box, and that was the sada dosa. So next we're gonna make the masala, potato masala for the masala dosa. For this you need about a tablespoon of olive oil. You can use coconut oil or any oil, but we're using olive oil. Half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, about 1 tablespoon of urad dal, 1 or 2 chili peppers according to how much heat you want. Just a small piece of ginger diced, and a small piece of ginger diced, and 1 medium onion sliced. So you just want to go ahead and saute all of this together. And there was 2 small stems of curry leaf. You can use more if you like, or if you don't have it, you don't have to use it at all. So you want to just go ahead and get all that sauteed, just adding half a teaspoon of salt, or salt to taste. And you don't have to get the onions to brown, just wilted. Then you want to go ahead and add your cooked potatoes. We had boiled and peeled the potatoes. And then once you add all the potatoes, you want to go ahead and add just a dash of turmeric powder. And the heat is on low right now. And then you just want to go ahead and mix it all up really well until it's well combined. And then your masala for the dosa will be ready. And we did add like half a cup of water to the mix just to make sure nothing gets stuck to the bottom while we're waiting for everything to blend together and get heated. So then you want to go ahead and grease your skillet and get your dosa batter ready. So the first one we try to do with just the ladle, but we couldn't get the dosa big enough, so it's best to use the measuring cup with like the flat bottom so you can flatten the batter better. So just putting a little bit of oil on there, and once the middle gets brown like that, that's when you want to go ahead and put the masala. We're using about a tablespoon of masala. You just wait a few seconds and you just fold it over. So our first masala dosa is ready. And the masala dosa freezes well also. That's another option you can just have in your freezer for a busy day. So in between the masala dosas, you want to go and spray some water on there. That'll help the skillet to cool down. Then you do grease it, then pour the batter. This time we're using the flat bottom to flatten the dosa batter on there. And once it's beginning to get crispy, just go ahead and add. For this, we use a little over a tablespoon since the dosa is big, a little over a tablespoon of the filling. Then you just fold it over and your nice big crispy masala dosa is ready. Hope all of you will try it. Thank you for watching.